Now, if you buy concert tickets online, would you then want to know the difference between a direct ticket supplier and something called a secondary ticketing organisation? Sometimes it's not easy to distinguish between the two. John Hall from Beale in North Northumberland isn't sure of the difference either. Morning to you, John.
Good morning, Mike.
So tell me what happened to you.
Well, we ordered these online at the 28th of December. Everything was going along fine till yesterday when we looked for our tickets coming through, and nothing ever arrived. So the lady just got back on and emailed them and asked them where the tickets was, and now we find out that the ticket shop or ticket market in London is in insolvency.
So who is it that you want to see then?
Well, it was Celine Dion. This was where we were going to see, was Celine Dion, which she isn't in this country very often, is she?
No. And can you tell me how much you've paid for the tickets?
Well, we paid £233.45 for them.
For two?
For two of them, aye.
So they're not cheap, are they?
No, they're not cheap, and that was in Block D. So it was fairly close to the stage. And
you don't mind, you think it's going to be worth it as long as the tickets turn up?
Well, I think it was worth it as long as the tickets turn up, because it was part of my fiancée's birthday present. But she wanted to see this.
Yeah, it looks, John, as though you've been dealing with something called a secondary ticketing organisation, though, and that's why the prices are so high.
Aye. So, how do you know when you're dealing with this sort of thing then over the internet?
Well, we've learned that the company, we're doing some digging around on this, we've learned that the company you've used has gone into provisional liquidation.
Uh-huh.
So I'm afraid, John, it's highly unlikely that anything is now going to turn up.
It looks like it, doesn't it, eh? So that's it in the tubes.
Well, let's have a word with Eric Baker. Eric Baker is the managing director of the secondary ticketing company Viagogo and joins me now. Morning to you, Eric.
Good morning.
So what's the difference then between a normal outlet and secondary ticketing?
Well, first off, let me say that what happened to John is absolutely disgraceful, and I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of crooks and a lot of people online, obviously like this London Ticket Shop, that set up, and they're really, it's not that there's anything wrong. There's a big difference between a secondary ticketing company like a Viagogo, where we work with Manchester United, we work with Chelsea, and we make sure that every ticket is guaranteed. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who buy links on Google, who put stuff up on the Internet, and they're simply crooks. And what they're doing is, obviously, they take advantage of passionate fans like John and people who are trying to simply buy tickets, who want to have a chance to buy tickets on the secondary market. But just like you might want to buy a used car, you don't want to buy it from a crook who never delivers the vehicle.
But when you use this phrase, secondary ticketing, aren't we really talking about ticket touts?
Well, it's actually an interesting difference, because as the government recently did a report, the difference touts really is what people view and refer to as people who are out on a street corner or running some of these websites like the London Ticket Shop that are completely fraudulent, and they're really sort of crooked, whereas secondary ticketing is simply the ability for fans to resell tickets in a safe, secure way they can't use. And secondary ticketing really refers to doing it in a way where, unlike what happened to John, you're going to get your tickets.
So where do you get your tickets from then? You buy them, and then you sell them on at an inflated price, and it's up to the customer to decide whether they're going to pay the price or not?
We don't buy or sell anything, so that's a big difference. A secondary ticketing site like Viagogo is actually, there are people who have tickets for a gig. Again, these tickets, as John said, go on sale months and months in advance, and there are some people who bought in December or November who can't go and they need to resell it, and we're basically just putting the buyer and seller in touch. It's a big difference from these people on the street corners who've bought up tickets and want to sell them. And let me actually say one thing, just getting back to John's situation. The whole reason we set up Viagogo a few years ago was because there are lots of fans who are having these problems with touts who buy up these tickets and then don't even come through with them. And that's the reason we're here, to try and help fans out. And in fact, the story with John, and particularly his fiance's present, is so disgraceful that what I'd like to do is we at Viagogo will get John, we'll put him in touch. We have other sellers on the site, and we'll get him 2 front row tickets for the show on Saturday, compliments of Viagogo.
How's that sound, John?
That sounds just champion for me.
All right. So how soon then will John receive the tickets now, Eric?
We'll take care of it. John can get the tickets today. So basically, we'll get John's contact information. He can get the tickets today for the Saturday show. And in fact, even though I don't want to get a little too crazy here, but since there are probably other people out there who've had a problem, the next 10 people, let's say, who call into Viagogo, if they can, as John did, sort of demonstrate that they've been ripped off by this website and are in a similar situation,
and how do
we
they
will take care of them.
How will they be able to do that?
Oh, well, basically, I think probably what you usually have is, and I'm sure in John's case, is they say, look, here's a receipt, because what these websites, these shady websites do is they've got a receipt from this website, the London Ticket Shop, and as we all know, a receipt from the London Ticket Shop, unfortunately, is probably not worth the paper it's printed on.
So why are you doing this? What's in this for you, then?
Well, again, I think first of all, I can say as a fan and as a gig goer, and again, the reason that I started Viagogo is that it just completely ticks me off and makes me angry to see these types of stories.
Yeah, but you've just told me, though, you're going to do this for the next 10 people as well as John.
Well, it's for the next 10 people. It's not for the next 1,000. We can only do what we can do, and it's for Celine Dion. Obviously, in the future, hopefully people will know. Number one, fans can know that they need to go to a safe, secure site like Viagogo, and number two, we hope that
you're just doing it for the publicity, really, which is fair enough. Okay.
Well, again, I think, look, our whole business, we're trying to help fans.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to do. But at the same time, obviously, it certainly doesn't hurt to let people know that Viagogo basically is a safe place to go.
John, looks like you're going anyway. That's good news, isn't it? So
right.
that should be okay. Let's just have a quick word with Tony Northcott, who's from Trading Standards. Morning to you, Tony.
Good morning.
How much dealing do you have with firms like this, then, these secondary ticketing organisations?
Well, of course, the secondary ticket market is a large market now. You're talking about £200 million worth last year, so it's becoming more and more prevalent. We also do, obviously, with the type of institution that you're talking about here, with the ticket taking. But it is an increasing market. Let's be honest. People want to buy these tickets, and they can't buy them from the original outlet.
Are they doing anything illegal?
Not doing anything illegal. What you have to remember is there's always a risk when you're buying from people and not from the official outlet. When I say people, I don't mean Viagogo. I'm talking about the people who sell the tickets on there. And we know there's a lot of tapes do use that. And it's something you've always got to take in mind. There may be a risk that the person you're dealing with through into Viagogo and other secondary ticket agencies might not be an honest individual.
And how much more can you pay then for your ticket going through a secondary?
Oh, the sky's the limit. Basically, a lot of people will charge what the market will bear. If people are willing to pay a lot of money, that they will take it. Our advice to everybody in all these situations, if you're going to buy these, it's actually use your credit card to do it if it's over £100, because then you have some measure of protection, not only against the people you're buying it from, but through your credit card company. But that, of course, doesn't apply to debit or charge cards.
Thank you, Tony. 27 minutes past 8.